such a...
Welcome home, Canada. It's nice to see you. For those of you that watched last night, we had a very special coverage of the Quebec election, but right now, back to business as usual with Anchorman Canada. You might notice a little tickle in my throat. I'm a little sick, but you know what? My doctor said, Alex, you can't do it. You have to stay in bed. And I said, no. The people of Canada need their news and their funny stories about Canadians driving cars in funny ways. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm here for you, Canada, because I love you. On tonight's episode, we have a couple of interesting things, and a couple of dark, ominous things, and a couple of fun, light things. As is life, it's balanced. First up, minimum wage across the country. Who's got it best? Who's got it worst? We're gonna find out, and it's kind of weird. Is it sustainable? Can people live off of it? I don't know. Do you? I mean, I do, but I'll tell you in a second, and you will too. Quebec elections, they went down tonight, as I just said, and not everyone is super down with the new guy in charge. People are setting fires to things. They're starting fires in the streets of Montreal. Why? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why they're doing it. And it's not fun. It's not fun. The only time it's ever fun to light a fire is when you're lighting a candle or a bonfire. Not in the streets during a protest, And Canadians, they're getting aggressive on the road. They're getting aggressive in Timmy's. And, we can't stop. We won't stop. Maybe we should stop. But I have a couple of videos at the end of the show. Hilarious, terrifying, weird. You're going to learn a lot about Canadians on Canadian soil and abroad. We get kind of weird sometimes. It's not our fault. The world doesn't understand us. But first, let's get to the first story. Now, we're going to start our show with a subject that a lot of Canadians, I think it's very dear to your hearts. You know what? And we might as well just get right into it. Can we get it rolling, please?
Weed Watch.
It's tea, by the way, not water this time, or vodka, like some of you think. Come on, is that what you think of me? Now, October 17th is a day that I've probably talked about way too much, but it's just, it's part of our Canadian culture. It's part of the fabric of Canada. Now, if you like to travel and you like to smoke weed, not now, after that day, right? Because right now it's illegal. You wouldn't do that because you're a good Canadian citizen. But after October 17th, if you like to travel and you like to fly and you like to smoke weed, I have good news for you. Canada's Transport Minister announced that Canadians, i.e. you, me, everyone around us, will be able to carry up to 30 grams of weed in a flight across the country. Now, I'm talking about domestic flights from one coast to the other. The way it's going to work is we're talking about Air Canada, WestJet, Swoop, Flair Airlines. I've never heard of Flair Airlines, but they're going to let you carry weed. They haven't figured out how it's going to work yet with airport security. Are they going to frisk you down extra hard? Are they going to ask you for a couple of tokes just to make sure that it's weed and not something else? Are they going to make you present them with all the joints you have in a bag? I don't know how it's going to work. They don't know how it's going to work, but they're going to figure it out because they're going to have to, because people are going to be traveling. And one thing that's super interesting, and I don't know if this was their whole goal from the beginning, is that this is probably going to boost domestic tourism. People are going to start traveling within the country more, which is great because I feel like no one does it enough. We'll go to Europe, we'll go to Asia, we'll go to America, South America, but no one really explores Canada that much. And I'll tell you, as somebody who's been around, there's a lot to explore. So hopefully, the fact that people can smoke weed pretty much everywhere at this point, I don't know if you can smoke the weed on the plane, but you probably eat edibles, you'll be good. You'll have a good time. Everyone's going to just be in a great mood all the time. Looking forward to it. And I hope you are too. And speaking of having a good time, let's talk about money. Money is something that not everyone fully enjoys discussing all the time because it can be a stressful topic for a lot of people. And a lot of Canadians live on minimum wage, whether you just didn't have the opportunities that other people did, whether you're in school and you're a student working, and one way or another, you've managed to make minimum wage your main source of income. It's how you pay your bills. It's how you live your life. And we looked at this, and so I'm going to get to the other provinces in a second, but Ontario, and this is the reason I'm talking about, Ontario was set to go up, wow, the minimum wage in Ontario is supposed to go up to $15 this January, which is right around the corner. And Doug Ford's government popped in and said, hey, that's not going to happen. I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, $1, is it going to make the biggest difference in the world for a lot of people? Is it going to change their lives? Sure. Is it enough to make a difference in the topic of a sustainable life through minimum wage? No, it's not. $15 won't make a difference either. $16 won't make a difference either. What I'm trying to get here is we looked at what a full-time employee working at minimum wage would make, right? Roughly equates to about $26,000 a year. Now, you can live modestly like that. But when you're starting to look at things like rent and bills and food, these are the essentials. Past that, it becomes tighter and tighter and tighter. And essentially what it comes down to is, in a city like Toronto, for example, right? An expensive city, sure. But minimum wage is almost supposed to entertain the thought that you can live a comfortable life on this money. And I don't mean comfortable in the sense that you can go out every night and have a dinner. You can go to, even if it's just McDonald's, you can't go out every night. But you should be able to at least cover your internet cost. It's 2018. People need a cell phone. You need internet. These are the basics, okay? $26,000 a year, $6,000 less than you would need to live a sustainable life in Toronto. Now, $15 won't change that either. The government needs to look at making life less expensive in a city like Toronto, and this applies to other cities in Canada as well. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Now, what kind of life can you live on minimum wage in Toronto? We looked at this, right? And once you factor in the essentials like rent and food, there's nothing left for entertainment. And again, I'm not saying go out every night, but a movie once in a while, maybe a video game. Unless you're living with roommates, that you can split the cost of internet and food sometimes, it gets to the point where you're living a very stressful life. Very stressful life. And so let's compare that to the other Canadian cities across the country. This is something I hate doing. I don't like doing it, but you guys do. You like comparing favorites. Who's the most liked and who's the least liked? You're all my favorite. I'm not gonna pick one. So we looked at Toronto as the main center of gravity, just to compare, because that's sort of the topic of the story. Vancouver, it did better than Vancouver. And that doesn't surprise a lot of people because you're just comparing, the most expensive to the second most expensive. Who did the best? Calgary and Montreal were up there, tied for the best in terms of looking at the average cost of living compared to minimum wage that's being made. Can you actually live off of it? Now, Calgary just recently, I don't know if we can make that map a little bit bigger. So it hasn't changed there, but it recently put its minimum wage up to $15. Currently the highest minimum wage in the country. Things are a little bit more expensive there, so it actually balances out. You can pull me back. Bring me back. In Montreal, things are a little bit cheaper, and the minimum wage is also lower. It's $12, $3 less, but it's more sustainable within the province, or within the city, I should say. So the thing that I'm trying to bring up here, it's very interesting that Canadians live very different realities based on the province that they live in. We think that it means one thing to be Canadian, but depending on the city you live in, the province you live in, you could be living very, very different lives. You could be buying the same things, you could be doing the same work, but at the end of the day, you could be living a much, much different life. And just food for thought, that even though we're all together and we're all part of the same national identity, there's a lot of things that splinter us at a financial, socioeconomic level, regardless of the job that you're doing. So, super interesting, kind of sad, and hopefully Ontario figures it out, and hopefully other provinces figure it out, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I know it sounds cheesy to say, but it's true. Now, last night, for those of you that watched the coverage, thank you so much. It was so much fun. We had a couple of guest speakers. If you haven't checked it out yet, you still can, because videos on the internet are there forever. Damn it. They're there forever. Check it out. It was a lot of fun. But I'll give you the quick rundown, and I'm going to tell you why people are getting pissed. They're getting pissed off. Some people are happy, because that's how democracy works, but they're getting pissed. Oh, we're doing a mini Anchorman Quebec. Bienvenue tout le monde. Anchorman Quebec. That's my French accent. I'm very fluent in French, so just a heads up. So watch out. So last night, the 42nd general election went down in Quebec. The CAQ, the Coalition de Avenir Québec, the coalition of the future of Quebec, they won majority government, and their whole stance is, hey, there's a business-centric way to make Quebec the province that it can be, and it doesn't include separation. We can do it by by looking at business, by the numbers, financially. We can boost this place. And who's at the head? None other than the business-centric François Legault, charismatic to some people, Satan to others. You know what? Your opinion is your opinion, because that's what democracy is. You're allowed to your opinion, but you're also allowed to vote. And what happened was the majority voted for the CAQ. Now, before I dive into why people are so angry, I'm going to give you just a quick, brief idea of their platform, right? So here's the good. Here's what I thought was, it's kind of nice. They want to export hydroelectricity to other provinces more. Money for Quebec. Great. Let's do that. They want to reduce red tape for entrepreneurs. Makes sense, right? Because that's always been an issue in Quebec, and it's cool that a business-centric man like François Legault has that foresight. Super good stuff. Every child has a family doctor. If you find me somebody that isn't okay with that, I'll punch him. I'll punch him in the face. Now, where it gets weird and where people are starting to get mad is immigration. All right? One thing they want to do is they want to decrease the number of immigrants coming to Quebec by 20%. It's about 10,000 people starting next year. You're still going to get 40,000 people coming in. Okay, not the biggest issue. Paying people to take language tests. That's nice. They want to pay people money to learn French. But if after 3 years immigrants have not learned the French language, they get flagged. A little email alert pops up in Ottawa, and they get expulsed. Like you would get expulsed in high school. And that was never a good thing. I mean, you come here to make a life, and maybe you're struggling with learning the language. Maybe you have 3 kids and you're working all day. There's a million things. Some people are going to say, look, 3 years is long enough to learn a language. Other people are going to say, well, you don't know what the circumstances of that person's life is. So that's their stance on immigration, pissing off a lot of people. And then sovereignty, well, they want to limit the amount of people coming in to protect the French language. And they're also going to protect the French language by appointing, that's the word I was looking for, they were appointing a commissioner to the Office de la Langue Française, the Office of the French Language, to go around and make sure that signage and a million other things are francophone, are French. Maybe there's a little bit of English, but the main has to be French in every facet of the province. Now, again, people are very happy about this that want to preserve the language. Other people are saying, well, this is a little extreme. We remember what happened with Pastagate and Pauline Marois. We're not going to dive into that because that's a whole other can of worms. Now, the first thing that he did today was he used the notwithstanding clause. What this is, it's a little loophole. He worked around the Quebec Charter of Rights and Freedoms, banning public servants like teachers and judges from wearing religious symbols, from having religious symbols on them. And that includes the kippah, the Jewish kippah, and the Muslim hijab. And a lot of people are not happy about it. They say, hey, it's 2018. This is full-blown racism. It's racism. It's discrimination. And they don't like this. So if we can pull up some of the pictures. It's from last night. People took to the streets and they're burning signs. They literally went out and they bought lighters and fuel. I don't know how you start a fire. I've never done it. I light candles and the occasional joint. And they started burning signs. Can we get another one here? It's intense. So this is a communist party that took to the streets, and they're just not happy with François Legault taking power, despite the fact that, once again, democracy spoke. Whether you agree with it or not, that's one thing. They exercised their right to free speech. They took to the streets. But what's super not cool, because that's cool, you can exercise your right, they started burning things. This looks like a post-apocalyptic scene. It's kind of a cool picture. But it's crazy. It's not great. And that's not how you push a point. And that's not where the CAC's fingers are stopping. I know that's not super suggestive and gross, but they have their hands in a whole bunch of things, including marijuana. Okay?
Weed watch.
Oh, is that what we're doing a second one? we're doing a second weed watch. Yeah, like a little one. Okay, cool. Little one. Yeah. So the way they're affecting weed is they're going to make Quebec the strictest province in the country of Canada when it comes to weed. One thing they're doing is they're changing the minimum age of I guess there's the age that you need to be, the age of consent, the age limit for consuming marijuana. They're making it 21. And everywhere in the rest of the province and the rest of the country, it's going to be 19. So that's number one. Number two, they're cracking down on smoking in public places as well. So I had mentioned last week in a story that Ontario was trying to make it so you could smoke everywhere, as much as possible, as like a cigarette. What's happening now is that they don't want people doing that. They want people smoking as little as possible, not in public spaces, in their own home, alone, away from the children in society and everywhere. They're setting down the hammer, and a lot of people are, again, not happy. I mean, obviously the weed thing is a lesser thing to be unhappy about. The racism and the immigration policies is a completely other thing. But how is that going to affect people coming into Quebec? How is that going to affect people's opinions of the Quebec people? How are we going to be perceived, not only in a domestic sense, but an international sense? Are we being set back? Or are we being set for? I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that this is a good thing? We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I want to know, where do you stand on this? And I forgot to mention earlier, and I really am passionate about this one. Going to go back to the minimum wage for a second. Do you think that minimum wage is sustainable in Canada? If you work on minimum wage, can you sustain yourself? Do you make enough money to be able to live a life decently? Can you afford internet? Let me know. I'm super curious, because we should have pulled up the stats on how many Canadians live off minimum wage, because I guarantee you it's got to be a lot. It's got to be a lot. There's a lot of Canadians, and there's a lot of jobs that pay minimum wage. I just yelled very, very loud. It's my throat. My doctor said, Alex, you have to work on the muscles, the larynx and the pharynx, and I'm pretty sure that was something out of ancient Greece. But
Or Egypt.
speaking of, whoa, that's weird. Speaking of colds, do you guys feel that? It's kind of chilly, eh? What's going on? It almost feels like,
What the weather?
I knew it! What the weather? What the weather? What the weather? Snow. It falls from the sky, it's cold, and it's coming for you, Canada. In fact, it's already here. It's already amongst us. People in BC and parts of Alberta woke up today to snow. It's October 2nd. I don't have a calendar here. You got to take my word on it. Snow. This is serious. It's a serious epidemic. Snow is a thing that's coming for us. It's not stopping. Environment Canada put out a severe snowfall warning, and the snow just said, you know what, I'm going to show up early just because I like you so damn much, Canada. parts of BC, Alberta, tons of snow. If you're wondering what that looks like, can we pull up this lovely little video from this morning? This is in Calgary. This woman is skiing to work, not in the slopes, but in the streets of Calgary. And if you've never been to Calgary, it's a lovely city where this doesn't happen. This isn't the norm. People aren't just doing this, and this is literally living out a Canadian stereotype. If Americans see this, they're just going to think that this is just how we get around. It's not true if you're watching from America. This is insane. That was this morning, and you know, they spoke to the weather gods, the people at Environment Canada. They said, hey weather gods, how much snow? 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters. It's October 2nd. We just finished fall. We just left the house and we're going out for a walk, and how bad is 30 centimeters of snow? How about 168 car crashes today in Calgary? Not looking great. Not the best. And you know what you do when there's snow outside? Well, you watch Netflix. You watch Netflix. And I'm only saying that because that's what I do. I'm trying to be relatable here. My PR guy says, Alex, be more relatable to the kids. I'm 29, and I'm assuming most of you are also 29. But in the event that you're not, I also watch Netflix, guys. And if you haven't yet seen a little show called Black Mirror, I'm shocked. I'm disgusted. I'm appalled. Everyone and their grandmother has seen Black Mirror. And if you haven't shown your grandmother Black Mirror yet, show her the dark realities of humanity's future through the lens of technology. I'm going to give you, so basically what it is it's an anthology series. Let's just play some of the clip just as I'm talking about it. You can hear my voice, you can see some of the photos. So it's an anthology series that basically does a bit of a projection of what humanity is going to be like in the near future after technology sort of gets into our day-to-day lives. It's really cool. One of the best sci-fi shows to grace the screen in decades. It's one of my favorites. And every season, they up the quality of production. It gets better and better. They try to do something crazier each season. And this season, they're doing something kind of nuts. They're doing something kind of wild. It's going to be bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. They want you to customize your own episode. They want to choose your own adventure for Black Mirror. And what's cool about this is that, yes, you actually get to choose your own adventure, and that's cool. But I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see how different people choose their own episode. I want to know that Kathy in accounting is actually a sociopath because she picked a dark, fucked up version, and then everyone else had a very fluffy, nice, wholesome episode. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. And that, if you're looking for a release date, we don't have one yet, but I was doing some research. That's the sound of research. I don't know if you heard I was tapping on the keyboard. Last year, season 4 was announced around early December, and then season 4 came out end of December. So there's a possibility in this reality that we're gonna get a new season, 6 episodes potentially, of Black Mirror by the end of this year. So cross your fingers, put down your phone because they're reading your thoughts according to Black Mirror, and you know what? Snuggle up with a loved one or yourself, because it's gonna be snow outside. You don't want any of that. It's gonna be cold. Now let's move on to a couple of fun stories here, because Canada and Canadians, we like to let people know that we're Canadians. How do we do so? By being somewhat extravagant, but very underplayed. We like to sometimes get a little wild, and I've got a couple of videos today that are going to highlight this. Now, no matter where we are in the world, this is just a fact. Canada's Canadians, we did this already, Alex. A 63-year-old man in Atlanta doesn't know how to drive. Apparently he does, but he got into a bit of an accident. Small little accident, nothing too crazy. You see that picture? I'm going to play the full clip in a second. Just look at that picture real quick. This man was driving. He'd been playing a whole bunch of GTA. He said he started swerving, and he ended up with his car flying over something. Can we play the clip? Play the clip. Play the clip. So he's driving, and all right, he's a parking lot. All right, maybe he's just going to park real quick. Whoa, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? What? Huh? But how? I have no idea. There was a blind spot in the cameras. The man says that his foot got stuck between the brake pedal and the gas pedal. I don't know how your foot does that. I don't know if his foot shrunk and then expanded. He's got some inflammation going on. I don't know. But the man, he walked it off. He's fine. and his car is totaled, and it flew what looked like at least 6 feet in the air. NASA surely is going to contact this man because this Albertan dude just killed it. Can we watch that one more time? How? He got serious air. There must have been a ramp. I have no idea. All right, moving on. Moving on. You ever get your order wrong when you go to like a place like, I don't know, Tim Hortons? This man was in the drive-thru and he ordered an ice cap. We've all been there, right? And they effed it up. They hardcore fudged it up. Without fudge, they fucked it up, is what I'm trying to say. He gets mad, as many people have done so previously in Canada. What does he do? He goes inside the Tim Hortons. He walks up. You know what? Let's play the clip. He gets super pissed. He throws a tantrum. Okay, so here he is. He's like, hey man, what's up? Why did you fuck up my ice cap? And she's like, look sir, I'm just trying to help you. He's like, yeah, well, how about that? How about that? And she's like, well, you're not helping yourself. Now you have -1 ice cap, and we have to clean this up. And so this just keeps going. It keeps going. There's another section of this. Pull this one here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
We got back to the beginning. Went back to the beginning. I'm sorry, bro.
Do you have the other one?
I would. Nah, I don't. Sorry.
We don't? All right. Well, pull me back. All right. So there's another clip here. We don't have it. But basically what he does is he picks up the monitor and the cash register area. He flips it over. And then somebody, a customer from the sitting down in Tim Hortons, goes up and he's like, hey, let's try to sort this out. He punches and he kicks the dude, trying to do a good thing. And that's not that's just the latest thing to happen at a Tim's. I don't know why Tim Hortons is such a magnet for bad things going down. And I'm not seeking these things out. They're just going viral. There was a woman, I'm not going to show you this because I'm not crazy. There was a woman that pooped in a Tim Hortons. She threw it at somebody. You might have seen that. There was a woman that broke in through the drive-thru. Canadians just love Tim Hortons so damn much. They don't care where they're pooping or how they're going to jail. Because that woman who went through the drive-thru, she went to jail. But yeah, we have a weird relationship with Tim's. So Tim's, if you're watching, you know, work on the cookies a little bit more. Maybe people won't be so angry. That's it for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, Canada. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to like it on Facebook. Are you watching on Twitch? Fantastic. If you're not, do so. And yeah, share it with everyone you love. Share it with everyone you hate. Because everyone should enjoy this programming. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Anchorman Canada. Take it easy.